afternoon, everyone. Thank everyone for coming. We're obviously a long calendar on the floor today, and people have multiple meetings, so we're pushing toward a quorum this afternoon. We have 4 items on the, well, I'll call the higher ed meeting to order. Thank all the members that are here, and I'm sure we'll have some come in. I will ask, we are close to a quorum, ask everyone to stay seated and give us your attention for the first 2 items, or the 2 items that we have available for our action, 385 and HB 56. With that, I'm going to start off and go to Representative Holcomb on HB 385. I don't think we've changed anything in your measure, but you can do it from there. Tell us briefly about your measure, and we'll see what we can do for you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the committee, this bill provides for those that have unused HOPE credits that they can apply them towards either a professional or master's degree. As we've discussed before, the way that it works now is the HOPE scholarship is limited to only undergraduate courses. So those that have extra credits beyond what they need to obtain an initial bachelor's degree, what they typically do is they'll get 2 bachelor's degrees. They'll double major. So what this provision would provide for, if passed, is it would allow students to start their journey towards graduate or professional training, would increase the pipeline of talent for our state, and the students would be responsible for the difference between the undergraduate rate and the professional or graduate rate, which is a little bit more per hour. It passed last year without opposition, but there were a couple of items that were tacked onto it in the Senate, and the governor vetoed it. And so my plan this year is, while I can't control or really influence what happens across the way, is the goal is to try to keep this clean this time and see if we can't get it all the way through.
Thank you, Representative Holcomb. I had spoken with Student Finance, and I believe you had spoken with them about the ramping up of the necessary communication. They said that you might be inclined to back up the effective date or either the applicable date. I don't know what the proper terminology would be. Is that true that you could do that, and did you have a date in mind, and can you offer an amendment if we get to that point to take care of that?
Yes.
I'd like to do it so that we could do it in the House, and then if you're successful, then we don't have to come back for an agree if you're successful, just to get you through. If you prepare for that, and also we're going to ask you to multitask because you have a question from your colleague, our colleague Representative Burnell. Number 1.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Is this similar? Would this be similar to those athletes that once they don't use up all of their eligibility, and so they're able to come back and play and get their masters at the same time using the same scholarship funding?
I think it's a little bit different, but the idea is probably similar, which is if you have unused time, this just gives you an opportunity to use it. And to you, Mr. Chairman, is yes. I had a very good discussion this morning with Student Finance, and they informed me that the logistical mechanics of getting this up and running will take a little bit of work. So what I'd propose to do at the appropriate time would be to make an amendment to where we, if enacted, we have the effective date be July 1st of 2026.
Are there any other questions for the gentleman? Representative Hawkins' proposition is LC 610101. It's House Bill 385. Any other questions? Hearing none, this is available for action. What's the pleasure of the committee in regards to House Bill 385, LC 610101? I have a move to do pass this along to rules. Is there a second? I have a motion and a second. I'm going to recognize the representative for his amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm not sure where we'll need to go, so I'll lean on legislative counsel to assist us, but the basic amendment would be that if enacted, the operative date would be July 1st, 2026.
Okay, let me pose this to the committee. The gentleman wishes the language to read exactly as it is and direct a legislative council to create a substitute that would make the effective date be
July 1st, 2026.
July 1st, 2026. So that would be the gentleman's motion to amend the bill. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion on that? Any discussion? Is there objection to the amendment? Objection? Hearing none, the amendment is adopted. And I will direct legislative council to prepare the bill accordingly. So we're back to the main question now. House Bill 385 with the gentleman's amendment. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the gentleman's proposal, this will be House Bill 385 with the amendment, signify by saying aye. Any opposed, no. It is approved. Thank you. Thank you, Representative Hawkins. Representative Hawkins' bill is going to be on tomorrow. Representative Hawkins. We've moved you up to Gainesville, Representative. I'm going to ask the committee. We don't have our vice chair here today. If there's not objection, I'm going to present for Chairman Petrie House Bill 56, and if we get into a lot of back and forth on the questions, I'll ask Representative Kelly to slide over into the chair. But if there's no objection, I'll present. Well, then bounce yourself over here, Representative. No, I will present this. What you have before you today is a substitute, and there's one change from the document you had yesterday, and I'll explain that change if you'd go back to line 194. If you remember, the gentleman's substitute added a section to create a memorial fund for public school teachers and public school employees that were killed or disabled in the line of duty. And on 194, we've changed the definition of act of violence. We've just shortened it. We've said act of violence means a willful act of violence. If you recall, that earlier said committed by a person other than a school teacher, public school teacher, or public school employee. We're not sure why that qualifier was in the old indemnification language. We were matching that. But if they were if a tragic event happens and this is applicable, it doesn't really matter where the violence came from. We don't think so. We suggest that we would make that change. That is the only change you have from the document that you had yesterday. I would answer any questions on Chairman Petrie's behalf and thank all those again that had part in adding additional information in this bill. If you'll recall, we were also, for the Teachers Memorial Fund, we're including language to have a checkoff on a tax return, checkoff at DDS, and let our fellow Georgians support this directly if they wish. I'll answer any questions. Are there any questions? If then we are in position for that, a motion on LC, let me just sound the LC 610178S. I have a motion that it move forward with a due pass recommendation. Is there a second? I have a motion and a second that just move forward to rules with a due pass recommendation. Is there discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Any opposed, no. He's on to rules. We have two items, and I understand some folks have other voting meetings they have to get to. If you can stay with us. Chairman Dempsey, I know you need to get to a meeting. You have to do that, so I'm going to let you do it. You're probably going to be a little bit quicker than Representative Neal on her measure just because we've seen it before. If you want to, from there or from the table, wherever you like, tell us about House Bill 541.
Here real quick so y'all can see me too. Ready? So I know many of you are already familiar with this measure. We've done it
a number of years, and last year, gratefully, it passed out of the House and the Senate, but there were some things added to it, and the governor decided to veto it. I think Representative Holcomb and I are tracking the same path right now, but that is the same measure that we are looking at right here. So this is simply to allow tuition equalization grant money to go to very specifically a nursing school program. This is a very tight measure. Worked with the governor's office on it, visited Chamberlain with some of his staff, and toured and talked to the students as well. I am more convinced forever that this is a great program and that it would benefit our states. Just to, if there are any questions, I'll take them in a minute, but just a couple of facts to leave you with. It is very specific. You have to have been bricks and mortar here for 10 years. That limits that greatly. You cannot be housed out of another state. It is a Georgia school that would be allowed for this. They are not going to be eligible for Hope, Zell Miller, or dual enrollment. It is only for the tuition equalization grant money that helps these often second and third career nursing programs to get started and to help them enter the workforce. Just to back that up a little bit, last year Chamberlain University sat the most nursing students in Georgia for the nursing exam. They sat 426 nurses that would then be propelled into our nursing workforce. The second was Emory, who had 334. So they're doing a great job, and I hope that we can offer them this opportunity. It's estimated to be approximately $750,000 maximum added into the budget to help them do this.
Thank you. Allow me, you have a question if you would take it. Sure. Allow me to apologize. I just noticed we had a speaker that wished to speak to House Bill 56. I think they're marked as for the bill. So they got the outcome they wanted, but as soon as we finish up with Chair Lady Dempsey on this hearing, I'll recognize you for and give you opportunity. We're blessed that you would come out and share your opinions, and I apologize for doing that. I guess the good news is it went the way you were looking for it. Any questions for Chair Lady Dempsey? Number one, Representative Bernal.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is this the same school that would be built in Henry County?
It is.
That would compete with Clayton State?
No, it's not. Let me get some specifics. They have a second program in a
Stockbridge campus.
It's in a Stockbridge campus.
That's Henry County.
So it is functioning today with students in it.
Okay.
As far as competing, it's not competing. There are more students trying to get into nursing programs than we have capacity for right now.
Thank you.
Representative Place.
Thank you, Chairman. I want to say to our chair lady that, again, we appreciate her bringing back this bill. We certainly support it, and that number of 426 nurses from Chamberlain being set for the exam is enough data for me to know how important this program, and they do it in 3 years, so that turnaround can be every 3 years.
That's right.
So thank you again for bringing this wonderful bill.
Further questions for the lady? Questions? Chairman Dempsey, you have no further questions. This will be our first hearing on that, and we'll look to have you back.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
We do have Representative Niels. We're going to go to you next, but I am going to give the gentleman that came. Is it Mr. Adcock? Acock. Yes, sir.
Thank you. I won't take up too much of your time. Quickly, my name is Robert Acock with the Professional Association of Georgia Educators. We represent about 93,000 classroom teachers, administrators, and other school employees, and just wanted to briefly say thank you for the substitute that brings school employees in. It's unfortunate that we have to talk about them dying in the line of duty, but that's the reality we live in. So again, just thank you so much for the sponsor and all the other bill supporters, and thank you for passing it on.
Yes, sir, and thank you very much. My apologies.
Absolutely fine.
We're going to move now. Let me turn it back on. We're going to move now to Representative Neal's discussion. She's going to tell us about her measure, HB 286. And Representative Neal, just repeat I know we have a substitute, so repeat the LC for us so we make sure we have the right one.
LC.
Return. Yes, ma'am.
LC 50110S.
I have that. 1110, 310S. Right?
Say your number again?
Three ones.
Yes, that's correct.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell us about your proposition.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you to the chair. Thank you to this committee. I present to you House Bill 286. I will start by saying this is the seed capital fund bill. So we have attempted to do this for 4 years. It's going on 5 years. We've had different iterations, and they've continued to pass out of committee, but we've just been in a space of perfecting the bill over the years. So imagine this. A young curly-haired Representative Casey Carpenter in college, hustling carpets with his carpet business. Now imagine Casey wanting to supplement his college career by starting his own business and having a business on the side. But let's just say he didn't have the money to fund getting a few carpets to get his business started. Let's say Carpenter didn't have a rich family or trust fund or any financial support, but he had a dream. And that is where this bill comes in. This bill allows for our citizens to get access to capital upon completion of a short specialized business program with Technical College of Georgia, with their intellect and completion of the program being their collateral. Now, how do we do that? First, we're starting with the Invest Georgia Fund, which is a pre-existing fund that we can utilize for this opportunity. Under the Invest Georgia Fund, we have the Seed Capital Fund. And the Seed Capital Fund, although it's not used as much, I'm not sure, to my knowledge, not at all, this is an opportunity for us to use a fund that we already have, the structure is there, for us to be able to have public and private dollars allocated to fund individual businesses upon completion of the program at the Technical Colleges of Georgia. And that program will be equivalent to like a mini MBA. Very hands-on, technical assistance will be provided, you name it, and upon completion, you get access to the grant money. Now, walking through the bill. Section 1, this general language is already pre-existing. Section 2. Section 2 outlines the qualifications. Line 26 outlines the parameters of the bill, of the business that will qualify for this grant. 2, 3, all the way down to 5 provides all the definitions that will be the qualifications to access this grant. Moving forward, line 43, same, we're providing the definitions for the fund and everything that's entailed within. Moving forward, 55, it outlines that the center may, in cooperation with TCSG, disperse money from the sub-fund to provide startup capital to small businesses. This money will go directly to the businesses, just to make sure that we are clear on that. The small business, in line 57, it outlines the conditions that we will let TCSG control any requirements, you name it, and then if you shift down to 57 through 63, all the way to 69, it outlines that, it outlines what TCSG will use to determine who gets access to the funding. Going to page 4. Page 4, especially starting around line 73, it outlines how the capital will be used and what it will be used for. And that essentially, goes all the way down to line 86. So outside of that, I will stand for any questions, but I do want to say thank you to any of the supporters that have tried to work on this initiative over the years, to include the chairman. We've had many, many versions of this bill come through, and some of the people who sit on this committee, to include external partners and supporters such as TCSG and others who are here as well. And just essentially, we have the slogan that we're the #1 place to do business, but it would be nice to also be the #1 state in the country to invest in our boldest innovators, which are small businesses. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. The lady will stand for questions. Number 29 is that Representative Campbell.
I really like the story about Representative Carpenter.
That's partly true.
That
That's one of those 95% true stories that you don't get around here. You're not recognized at this point. No, I'm just kidding. Representative Campbell.
I do appreciate, to my friend and Representative Neal, I do appreciate this bill. I know we've been talking about this a long time, and we talk at the Capitol a lot about entrepreneurship and capitalism and free markets and financial literacy, and that is why I think that this, if we really were able to, to do something like this within the confines of a very structured and supervised academic environment where there is oversight and accountability from the school and the professor involved in this, that this could be a way to, to provide that at a level where we're not by just teaching it in a classroom. And so that's what I like about it. It's unique. It's kind of outside the box, but I appreciate you bringing the bill. And I would say, is that not true what I just said?
The gentleman knows what he speaks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Representative Glaze.
Thank you so much for bringing this innovative bill, and I'm sorry, this is my first time taking a look at it.
It's okay.
So is this grant money, meaning that it does not have to be paid back?
That's correct. It is grant money.
Do you stand for a second question?
Absolutely.
And so is there a way for the business to stay tied to the TCSG during their at least like 3 to 5 years while they're building out the business? Is there language that helps them utilize the support services in TCSG as they're building out the business?
Absolutely. So the way we originally have it outlined, and I have worked with them already, we do have a curriculum already pre-existing. We're just simply waiting for this type of funding. But we also allow for TCSG to have the wiggle room to adjust kind of what we've created as far as the mini MBA program. But the whole point of the program, when they're going through it, they will have the assistance that you're referencing. I mean, business plans, you name it. When you walk out of there, you have everything together before you are funded. But to your point, as far as language being in the bill that outlines the continued support outside of completion of the coursework, we have not contemplated that, but I'm pretty sure that we're at least open to the conversation.
So thank you. I can see where this bill would be innovative, and I'd love to see something like this as a pilot, and students who are in this space for 3 years actually coming back and supporting other students as they go through. I can see where this could really work and build up entrepreneurship in our young adults.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the support.
President Barnes, number 4.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Rep. Neal, for bringing this bill. My question is, does the business have to stay in Georgia for a certain amount of time after we fund it?
To my knowledge, we have not contemplated that aspect of it. We have not contemplated that.
I would feel comfortable if we put some language in there so we're not like funding a business and they go leave. And then another question, how much are we appropriating? Like, is there a fiscal note, or how much are we giving to start this small business?
So right now, yes, it has to be, well, it's 2 ways. So luckily, because of the way the fund is set up, this sub-fund, we are allowing for public and private dollars. Meaning, for instance, over the course of the past 4 years when I've been running this bill, I've had community banks, I've had credit unions, I've had regular banks, I've had other businesses ask, hey, how can we invest in this program? But I said, I can't get you can't invest until it's set up. So the reason for allowing public and private investments is just in case the state can't afford to put money inside of it. If Wells Fargo wants to put money inside of the program, they can do that, and we can still run the program.
And that's in here, probably.
That is in here, yes.
Yeah. But I feel that we should kind of like make the business stay here. I don't want to like fund a business and then they go to South Carolina and run it.
Yeah, that's an easy, friendly amendment. Absolutely.
You have a couple more questions.
Absolutely. I'll take every last one of them.
The aforementioned Representative Chairman Case Carpenter.
Thank you, Chairman. So a statement to start. I was not a trust fund baby. I actually found a gentleman that loaned me the carpets on consignment. So I had, other than renting a truck, I didn't have any capital outlay, and he took back whatever I didn't sell, so I didn't have much risk. I appreciate the out-of-the-box thinking. I think that's a valid point by Representative Barnes about keeping it in the state. Is there talk about funding from the state? If so, what does that dollar amount look like? I do agree with you that there are a lot of private entities that would be interested in doing this. Comes to mind credit unions, et cetera, that already do. Tennessee Valley Credit Union.
And those people have already reached out.
So it's, I think there's a hunger there. So, and I think educating people on how to run a business, because when I started my business, I didn't have a clue. I was just a hustler. And so I made probably a lot of mistakes that would have been nice to know. So, and I had a degree from Georgia, and I still made a lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
So anyway, thanks.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for this bill. I have a question. Can the state match private funds? Is that a possibility? Does anybody know that?
This bill has to pass in order for that to
For
happen.
that to happen?
Yes.
Okay. I think I have heard in the past that Georgia Tech does a program similar to this.
So Georgia Tech is the one that disperses this money under our Constitution.
Great, okay.
But because we haven't used it, that's why we're trying to utilize something that's pre-existing. The skeleton is there, the infrastructure is there. We don't have to recreate the wheel.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, I believe the lady just cleared it up, but since we're in a fund that it had to be a constitutional amendment to allow for that fund, I believe, in order to be constitutional, because of the gratuities clause, there had to be a specific thing to create this fund and use it. Is that not correct? I believe that's what you were alluding to. That's why you're trying to create a sub-fund under that same framework.
Yes, we don't have to do a CA.
Otherwise, it could require another constitutional amendment.
That's correct.
And so we'll one of the things we'll need to do is make sure that we have cleared that hurdle.
Yes.
To do that and have a fair clearance from that.
And I want to jump into to answer someone asked the question about has money been appropriated. So yes, this body, the governor was gracious enough last year to allocate $1.1 million to this initiative, but at the time we didn't have the proper infrastructure for it. We might have had some gratuities issues, and so when we ended up not moving forward on that, that would have been a primary example of how throw $1 million in there. Let's see how it goes. Let's fund some businesses, and that still has the opportunity to have private monies added to it as well. Mm-hmm.
Any further questions for the lady? Any further questions? I don't see any questions. We'll get with you and we'll have you back as well.
Okay, and I'll go ahead and work on that amendment.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our meeting for today. I'm going to remind the members and tell your friends that are higher ed members, we have another meeting scheduled for 1 o'clock tomorrow after session. We have a long session day, I believe, tomorrow as well. There are 2 or 3 items that we'll have on the agenda, and there may be additional items added. Tomorrow afternoon, we'll meet again. If there's no further business before the committee, we'll stand adjourned without objection. And hearing none, we are adjourned.